What's up, guys? This is Dylan.
And I'm Lydia.
And we're here for Broken Pictures. You're watching The Broken Dead. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to check out that website. That's www.broken.picturesno.com. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, please. So, we're going to talk about this past episode. And I just went blank on what it was called. It's something like there still has to be a reason or something. Anyways, I'll post it at the bottom of the screen. So, let's talk about Rick. A lot happened in this episode. I am not hesitant to say that The Walking Dead is on its way back. Like the second half of this season, I think is just really calling back to where it came from and what we liked, everything we liked about the show. And as critical as I was of the first half of the season and the past season before that, I'm feeling good about it again. So, oh, by the way, if you hear a thump or something, it's because the mic is on the table in front of us and Ghost is laying under the table, the dog. So he might bump the table. So just apologies ahead of time if he knocks your eardrum out or something crazy like that.
If you're watching one of our videos for the first time, you definitely should go back and watch some other ones because Ghost has had some pretty funny things happen throughout our videos. We try not to disrupt our pets if they come into the video. So several times a couple of funny things have happened. So you should go back and watch some of those videos.
Yeah, he likes to take care of himself sometimes, and we have to cut it and rework it a little bit.
Chewing his nails and stuff.
Yeah. So sometimes he's a little bit of a distraction, but...
And if you watched last week, I didn't really talk that much because I didn't have a voice. And so this week, I'm feeling a little bit better. Still, my voice is kind of cutting out in some areas, so be patient with me. But I'm back.
Yay. It's good to hear your voice again, baby.
Ain't that though?
All right, so Rick is, I think, becoming the prick, just like they called him. Like he is... Like there's no comparison between him and Shane anymore. Like we used to be like, oh, if Shane was running things, would it be like this? Is Rick is he as bad as Shane was, or is he worse? Like he shot way beyond it this time. Like he like this episode between Negan and Rick, Negan looked like the good guy.
And I think they did that on purpose. I mean, to me, it was really interesting. So I mentioned last week, or maybe the week before, that I'm kind of rewatching it with Maeve, Dylan's middle daughter, and I'm kind of rewatching it because she's watching through it, and I'll catch an episode here or there. And she's in the beginning of season 1, and so comparing the two episodes to me, it's like Rick is a completely different person. Going from literally enforcing the law and then being lawless is so crazy. Crazy difference there.
Yeah, he's come a long way down his downward spiral since Carl died, especially. And so Michonne's trying to get him to read the letter from Carl. Let me close that out. And he just won't do it. Last week or so, he was like, I just can't. And she's reading it, and he walks in, and he, tears well up in his eyes, and he's not ready yet. I get that. But...
Sorry.
But, so Michonne has a nice little callback where she's like, look, when I lost mine, I felt the same way. And yet, when we met Michonne, she was in her dark period. And it looks like Rick is having another mini dark period. Like, he's having some serious issues right now. And she tells him, look, I'm going to go. She didn't say she was going to go, but she tells
made him stay.
Yeah. And she should. I mean, it's time. Michonne's laying this man. Yeah. And he's just, I don't know what's up with this dude. He's just sitting there looking at. I mean, putting himself in a situation where he knows he's just sitting there dwelling on it and it's marinating, and it's just welling up in him, and he's got to go. So he goes, and I'm surprised Michonne hadn't, like, she's given him his space, and she's been super patient with him.
Way too patient.
Drop
him,
too
Michonne.
Patient.
It's literally like
she did when he had the blood all over. She put him out.
It's just like if you really like a guy and then they ghost you. Like I feel like Rick is ghosting Michonne. Just like drop him, honey. stop. He is not worth it. Ezekiel is way nicer.
I don't know about that far, but I think she loves him and he loves her. They said this episode, and I'm not sure if it was the first time they said it to each other or not. They might have said it in the warehouse a while back when they were trapped in there together, like their first night together or whatever. I think.
Love to check and see. Yeah. Anyway.
So, he goes out and he goes after him and meets up with Morgan and Morgan's like in clear mode, and I gotta do it, and he's seeing Henry now, and you know what it is. If you still don't know what it is, I don't either. We're in the same boat. It's apparently not black and yellow like I thought it was. But anywho, so Morgan's going crazy, and him and Rick decide they're just going to take him out, and they get captured. And then Rick, you think he's got a moment of clarity where he's like, I'll bring you back. A man's word is in this, in this life.
Repeating the same thing he said when Daryl and him ran into Todd. And so, Daryl shot Todd anyway, and Rick was so taken aback by that. Yeah. And so, like, why would you do that? Your word is the only thing we have now. And to see Rick do the same thing against his own word
and
is mind-blowing.
First season,
Morales
showed up, and Daryl did the same thing, and Rick was just like, and that episode there was a lot of mirrors, and so there was like Rick like having moments with himself and that type of thing. In this episode, as soon as he tells that guy, it kills him. I lied, and you gave your word. I lied, and he's standing there and has his moment with Morgan, and he turns, and there's just a big wall-sized mirror. So they're kind of a callback to that moment. But I didn't realize it. I don't know why, but I didn't realize it. But it was a nice little callback with him and Morgan having the moment where he's talking about, I let you in because.
Like we said, we don't try and disrupt, but Two-Face just push some stuff off the table.
Yeah, that's the cat. She's mad because she's hungry.
Well, and she's a cat, and we put something on the table, so it's her.
She's on a diet because she's too fat. But anyway.
By law, she has to knock it off.
Yeah, it's like a
cat thing.
Anyways, so it was a nice little callback when Morgan's telling him, I let you in because my son was there, and Rick just has a moment where he's like, wait, what? And then the mirror is there. But yeah, it was a nice callback where Rick and Morgan are in the same place now, and is Rick seeing himself in Morgan is like, is this where I'm headed down this road? And so I guess that leads to the next thing where Morgan is just gone. He's gone.
Real quick, one more thing about Rick, because I feel like every time we see him in that jacket, like the wintry jacket, he just like rips somebody to shreds, because that's the true. Moment when he like ripped that guy's throat out,
and the Rick-tatorship.
The Rick-tatorship, is all the jacket. And so I feel like every time that we see Rick in that jacket, it signifies him putting up that wall, and he's just like gonna tear down.
But that's a good point.
But yeah, about Morgan being gone, just like speaking of, he will be gone soon because he's going over to Fear. Like, I feel like that was a really great moment with him and Carol and Henry. Like Carol just saying like, "Hey, you saved me," and I feel like for Morgan, even if he is crazy, because there's obviously like just mental illness going on there, not apocalyptic. Like, even if he wasn't in the apocalypse, like I feel like he would have some mental stuff going on, because it's so traumatic or something, And so, to me, that was a really great moment of him just like, even in this, he still has the capability to save people, even if it's not how he thought, because he thought that he couldn't save Henry, but he saved Carol from herself, and from doubt and from all of the unsurety.
Yeah, and even Rick, too. So that was a nice little reminder for him in this episode, while he's at his furthest, I guess, that he's having a reminder that he can be productive and helpful in this world.
I feel like now that Jared is dead, though, thank you.
Yes.
Now that Jared's dead, they've sort of wrapped up Morgan's storyline, and I think that I'm satisfied with the way that it ends. I feel like if if he just like respectfully tells Rick, like, can't be a part of your group anymore or anything. I will be a little upset if he just sneaks off in the night like it seems like he does.
Yeah.
I would prefer that he have closure with Rick.
Especially after
just
all that.
to finish that out.
All he did was find them.
Yeah. For sure.
But, yeah. Is it safe to say D.R.I.P. Jared? Don't rest in peace?
That's too far though. You don't want nobody ghost haunting you. It ain't for the dead. It's for the people that they knew.
Well, he was on the Walking
Rest
Dead.
in peace so you don't haunt me.
He's on the Talking Dead saying, that like he likes to play the villains. So he's at peace with it. Being
at peace. At peace. He's fine with it.
Whatever. Anyway, the actor is at peace with it.
For sure.
Jared can rot.
Speaking of, though, I mean, that was a huge plot point for Carol with Henry and everything. And, just like, Carol's sorry, too, And I feel like that was a great callback. And especially, I mean, even she brought it up, her daughter, Sophia, and all that she went through with that. And we've seen her go so far with Lizzie and Sam of just being, like, really hard towards children because of that. And I think that she saw that she was turning into someone she didn't like. Right. I feel like that was important to have no care, because she was scared of what she would find or what she wouldn't find. She looked and looked and looked for so long for Sophia. Turns out she was trapped in the barn the whole time, and so how frustrating and disheartening that could be, and for the situation to turn out the same with Henry, to me, that just is so too far. So I really liked how Ezekiel called her out and was just like, you're being a coward, dude. Like, you're the bravest person I know. And you're being a straight wimp. Because I felt the same way. Like, really?
Yeah. But
B.A. Carol gonna do this?
Yeah. But at the same time, it was like, I mean, that was like one of her weaknesses. Like, I don't feel like he fully understood what she had been through.
Absolutely not. But at the same time, I think that Carol needed that.
Yeah,
sometimes people don't know what you're going through and they still slap you in the face and it's good for you. Not all of the times is it good for you, but sometimes it is. He might make you want to.
Yeah, but don't.
Anyways,
yeah.
But and Ezekiel and Carol holding hands at the end while she told him her story was just like, I wasn't shipping them before because I was OG Daryl and Carol, but he's kind of cute.
Yeah, since there's no Rip Carol Tobin.
Literally, Rip Tobin.
Yeah, and I'm a little afraid for Carol right now because they have closed her loop. They've closed her story, and they've not done that before. And just a little background information, like with the stuff going on with Lauren Cohan, with them not paying her what she's asked, and she's signed on for a pilot for a whole different show and not signed the contract for season 9 yet, as far as I know. I was kind of wondering, well, what's Melissa McBride doing? Like, what's her deal? Is she asking, did she just accept, or she's awful quiet during all this? I'm afraid that she's not on the show anymore at this point because they just closed her loop. And I know that sometimes, like they've done it with Daryl and Rick and all these other characters, well, they'll close the loop and then they'll start a different loop. But I mean, they just closed like the loop for Carol.
I agree, but I think that that's because Carol is a new person. She pointed out highly that, like, even if something like that does happen to me, I know that I can come back from it. So that's not fair for me to shut down completely and not be okay with that. And so to me, that was closure for her loop of closing off. I feel like Carol is now can be a bigger, better, more BA person.
I sure hope so.
She can be with Ezekiel. She can love Ezekiel, Morgan, Daryl, whoever she chooses to love. Tara for all we know.
And leading into the time jump that they've said that they're going to do going into season 9, that makes sense for her to have a life, to open up and have a life.
I feel like they're closing everyone's loops for that purpose. Like I feel like they're really doing it. I mean, they brought in what was her name with the glasses who brought in the stuff? I feel like it was Debbie or something like that. The lady? The new colony lady who showed up with Tweedledee and Tweedledum?
Oh, Georgie. Yeah.
I feel like with her, I talked about it a little bit last week, but I really think that this is how they're going to introduce it into the show of like, hey, we've already shown all of the wrong, the governor, Negan, all of the ways that you can be wrong in this world, and here she is Negan-esque, but in a pure fashion, and she's offering these things, these ways to bring civilization and marketplace back. She's trading goods. She's bargaining in a fair manner. And to me, that's the basis of society, is when you start bartering and trading things. To me, that really, starts when you become more civilized and advanced. And so I think that they'll end the show on that note. So I think it's good to close everyone's loops. I'll be really upset if they don't close any loops and just end the show. There's no closure in that.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about that part?
As far as Morgan and Carol, no, I think we're good on Carol, as far as I can think of.
Talking about Negan, I really want to bring up Negan and Jadis. That was a really big point of the show. And so Jadis had Negan. We saw that at the end of the last episode, where she's like, shut up, and smacks him in the head, First of all, where in the world did they have this car the whole time? They never drove a car anywhere.
Oh, there was a lot of things that they didn't show that they had.
Yeah, and so the car, she got a car, apartment, a helicopter, photographs. She's just like a little hippie on the regular, and so hipster. Hipster. There's a difference between a hippie and a hipster.
You're right.
And she's a heapster, so it's a nice little in between there. But huge moment for Jadis of just she's just like, you took me.
Yeah, she's obviously broken.
She's obviously a leader. When you take a leader's people, you take them. Like, who do they lead, And so I liked it for the representation of Negan is a people person. Jadis used his own words against him about people are a resource, that what Negan would be like if you take his people, if you take his resource, Negan is nothing without his people. And that's a side we haven't seen. We see how he manipulates Jadis into not doing that, and we see the soft side about, it's named after my dead wife that I cheated on. I'm gonna leave that part out. When I'm telling you about how much I love this bat.
He did say something like that, something to the effect that he never helped her or never did anything for her in that life.
He was talking about how she did everything for him, but he didn't do anything in return. And that's okay in passing, but goodness gracious, you could be talking about the laundry for all we know, And so I thought it was really cool that Jadis has her watch, and obviously the helicopter comes at the same time, the same day. So they've got an agreement worked out with someone. There's another colony, another community.
Well, have they been hiding up to this point, or have they already met with them? Or?
They definitely already met. I think that they're making continual trips to see if they are fine, and that's why she was going to light the flame. And so we've seen it fly over Rick's head to the heap. It seems like it's a time thing of they fly at the same time every time, and then if the fire is going, somebody's in trouble, I need to go get them.
Yeah, and they've got the helipad too, so they could have possibly landed.
Yeah, how else would they land? They've got to have a helipad.
I'm just saying.
For sure, I just think that
As means.
But what my thing is, I say that a lot. My thing is that, why are the two communities split? Did they not get along and split on equal terms and good terms? Why would Jadis and a bunch of greasy people live in the trash instead of this place that literally has a helicopter? They have enough fuel to fuel this helicopter. They're not worried about their helicopter getting stolen.
Could it be that they're an outpost of that place?
I didn't think about that. But why, I get that, but why split up?
Well, because they wanted their own thing. Maybe they're just, if this colony is anything like in the comics where they've got 50,000 people in this colony, then it makes sense for them to start branching out.
I get
and if
that,
that's
but
just
at the
how
same
Jadis
time,
wants to live, and they're living in the trash and actually living good lives, but hiding behind the trash and this fake language and all this stuff,
Yeah.
We don't bother, that type of thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I would really like to hear you guys' opinions, especially when it comes to heavy comic book readers. If you have more insight, more details, things that we're missing that we didn't pick up on, I'm really interested to know where this storyline for Jadis is going, what's going on with the helicopter.
Well, Jadis is not in the comics. She's a pure TV
Well,
show.
Alpha is in the comics, and so do you think Alpha is Jadis? Do you think Jadis will turn into Alpha? Do you think Alpha was flying the helicopter? Like, there's so much in the comics.
No, because Alpha, the Whisperers are anti-establishment. That's why they attack Rick and them, because they think it should be just anarchy and no civilization. And so they're about wiping it out.
Okay.
Yeah, they're crazy.
Well, never mind. Tell me what you think. Not that idea.
Or if I'm wrong, let me know
idea.
too. That's what I've heard so far. I haven't read that in the comics.
So you don't know. You going off hearsay.
I've heard a comic person say that. I've watched other videos that have said that on YouTube. So
give us your first person point of view.
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. So where do you think it's going from here? Do you think now that Rick has checked off that box, he's gonna calm down? He started reading the letter from Carl, didn't he? I think he did. Yeah. Do you think that's going to enrage him further, push him away further, or if he's going to come to himself and realize that, I don't want to be like Morgan, I need to get my shit together? And do you think, how do you think it's going to lead for Morgan to leave? One interesting thing she said during the show when we were watching it is the flash forward with Rick. Is it possible that Morgan has stabbed Rick?
Oh.
And that's why he's left.
To me, because like when he first sees Rick, it looked to me like Rick was scared, he looked like he about to stab me with this stick. Yeah. So to me, it just like they're having a lot of interaction. I think that Rick is going to try and stop Morgan from going, and Morgan knows that at this point he has to go, and they get into it and something happens, or maybe
like him and Jesus did,
or maybe they get into it and that's why Morgan leaves, because he does something so drastic as stabbing Rick, because he mistakes him for Gavin, and so he stabs him, and then he's like, what have I done? And so he's got to get out of Dodge.
Yeah, because Rick is this high up on a pedestal person to him, or a person that's high up on a pedestal to him. I can't talk. Remember he wrote on the map, this world needs Rick Grimes. So if he were to do something to Rick, that might send him down the rabbit hole further, where he's just got to escape and get away and quit this group. So that's just theories. What do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen with Negan and Jadis? Negan said he's going to check on her later. Jadis, do you think she's going to get on the helicopter and contact them? I don't know.
Are you shipping Negan and Jadis?
That's an interesting couple.
I kind of like it. We'll see.
Yeah. Could you see him in Carl's vision? Could you see him in Carl's vision? Negan and Jadis living in a house together in the community?
Probably.
With this new human side of Negan. Oh, yeah.
I feel like
and
they're
naked
both
painting.
Yeah. They're both super weird. So I feel like they would get along perfectly fine.
I could definitely see that.
Yeah, exactly. They're super weird. Agreed.
Yeah.
All right. Are we crazy? Do you agree? Do you have a better theory? Let us know.
Yeah. Do you think Carol is a goner? Or do you think they're going to open her a new storyline for her?
That's not what I think.
I'm worried for Carol, because I think they're going to end the season with something big.
I don't think it'll be that. Okay, thanks. Bye for watching The Broken Dead.
Yep, thanks for watching. This is Dylan.
And I'm Lynn.
And don't forget to check out that website. It's www.broken.pictures. And we'll see you next time. Peace.